If someone wins the race by 1/10 of a second, that's still a race win. He still gets
No,
25 points.
First, see, this is why you
That's
are an
wild.
expert. We have faith in our experts.
I'm also known as the world's okayest sim racer.
Excuse me, leave. Please leave.
Bottas is essentially keeping his seat warm.
Like, he sent him back to like Finland.
See, we told you, he's actually a good driver.
And you call yourselves Ferrari fan?
What are these questions?
They just shut the bed completely.
How? What is this? Why is that child competing? That is money, this, that is that.
Hey everyone, welcome to our 26th weekly episode. We're joined by our usual host Mazhar, Aniket, and myself, Rishabh. But this week we have another guest on, but he's basically part of the team. We also have Fuzail. For those of you who've caught our previous F1 episode where we discussed the biggest rule changes that affected Formula One, Fuz was there. He will consistently be our F1 correspondent. He's an F1 expert. As a quick reminder, he runs his own Formula One league. There are 4 divisions across 2 platforms, which is Zenith Online Racing. And he himself is a online racer and an avid follower of Formula One. So he will consistently be on for our F1 podcast.
I'm also known as the world's okayest sim racer. This was actually sent to me by one of the other drivers as a gift. That's factual.
Oh man, that's some hardcore trash talk, man.
I like that. It's humbling. It's humbling.
So with that, I guess I've kind of given away the fact that this episode is about Formula One. A quick reminder about our last episode, the 25th episode. We had Ayush Alavadi, who's a sports presenter. He's really worked across the sports world in law, in media. Really lovely conversation, very interesting. So do catch it if you're interested in presenting in general, media in general, or more specifically for sports as well. But with that, let's get into this week's topic, Formula One, as I said. Fun one for us, because we're talking about the young drivers who we believe are the real deal. So better than the okayest drivers, the best drivers of the young drivers. Our cutoff is 25 years old. We basically, there's some amount of argument. I will completely admit the 3 other people on this call are way more knowledgeable. They've had some arguments about this on WhatsApp. We figured, let's take it off WhatsApp. Let's take it into the podcast. So with that, I'm going to open it up. Guys, Fuz, I'm going to put you on the spot first. There are a lot of great guys. Amongst the people in the 2021 grid, under the age of 25, who do you think is the real deal?
Okay, that's a very, very loaded question, very, very tough question. And, I literally have no biases or anything. Like, I genuinely...
For those of you listening, Fuz is wearing a Ferrari cap.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like that Monegasque guy is kind of decent. Beaten Lewis once or twice in, an outright drag races. So it's just, I'm gonna go with LeClerc, but it's a very tentative answer, and I haven't thought it through well enough.
Perfect. Totally fair. Gui, who do you have, man?
Look, it's going to appear as if I'm copying the expert on this one, but it's the same answer, guys. I have, I think, been following F1 for, I don't know for how long, but it's always been that red car. And once you see someone in that red car doing really well, you develop that affinity. So of course, it's a biased opinion, much like every other F1 opinion anyone has ever had. But yeah, it's him. It's kind of strange because there are so many good guys.
Yep.
Especially in the 2021 field, which is packed full of under 25 racers, and even like the guys who like we've eliminated from this conversation are marginally over 25, right?
Yep.
So those guys are also really good, and they all hold one seat out of 20 seats in the world. So I think anyone you pick is going to be slightly biased.
But
and someone's going to refute it. So I can't wait for Mazhar to refute this, because I can see it build. I can see it build right now.
I mean, they're literally, like he said, the 20 best drivers on the planet. That's a group that is as exclusive as it gets. So
yeah, I had a few things to say about Giovinazzi being in the top 20 drivers in the world, but I'll leave that for later. But so with that, So, Charles Leclerc, if you're listening, you have a lot of fans on this podcast. First, though, are you deviating from these two? Where you going first?
Uh, well, personal bias aside, I have always been a Scuderia person throughout, through thick and thin. Even before Shumi, in fact, even like because Dad used to bring home these magazines, so I used to always see that Ferrari logo and the Italian flag. So red has always been close to my heart, and I do love Leclerc. But like I said, I have to put my personal bias aside here, and I have to go with that one man who
FYI,
sits in Red Bull.
you don't have to. You don't have to do that. No such thing.
Well, I am going to go with that man who sits in the Red Bull car, Max Verstappen.
That's it.
Now,
I'm out.
and now
Done with
the
it.
now the reason why I am saying that is purely based on facts and the stats. I know it's unfair to all those guys who are coming in now, including, of course, Yuki, Schumacher, aka Mick Jr. rather, when he started off. So that's an interesting thing. But the point is, how can you argue with someone who has been there for several years now? He's already established himself, had a great season last time out. He's won the most F1 races from all these guys. So I think experience counts for a lot more than I think at least we're giving credit to. So we can discuss it much more further in detail. I know that Fuzail's itching to have his go at me, but yeah, Krishnan, we aren't going to leave you out. Who's your pick?
No, totally fair. To be honest, I think if I just, if neither of us had spoken before, I would have gone for Verstappen as well. But I'm going to deviate a little bit because I do want to talk a little bit about George Russell. I think he seems like he's heading to Mercedes at some point. We don't know when. Bottas is essentially keeping his seat warm till he gets there. But part of it is also just I feel bad for him. He's such a phenomenal racer in such a bad car. He proved how great he was in that like one race he raced last season. I think it was Sakir, if I'm not mistaken. Um, he looked fantastic. He's proven himself at the F2 level, if I'm not mistaken. So I think there's a lot to come for George Russell. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for him to move up to a better car at some point. I don't know when that is, but I'm super excited for that. So whenever that comes, I'm really excited for George Russell.
That's coming when Hamilton goes, because
Correct.
he's not going to. I don't think with the kind of reputation he already holds, he's going to go for a number two driver. That too. I mean, always, oh, we don't have a number one racer thing is okay, fine, but it'll get very quickly established when you have like a seven, possibly eight-time champion against someone who essentially was not even being close to the top in F1. In F1, okay, not the junior leagues. But so I just want to highlight this because now that George Russell's name is up, please okay, no, none of the British commentators are listening to this, but you got to stop picking sides. You can't be calling him G Russ and Georgie on live podcast. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? We get your bias towards the team, we get your bias towards his nationality, but then there's Lando also, right? You're not doling out the same treatment to him. Okay, not not, not to that extent. I mean, Gasly had a rough season, got not even half the love when he did well. And I'm just like, hello, what is wrong with you? He got promoted and then demoted to the team. He was like, excuse me, leave, please leave. We need to make way for someone who's also not going to do well. Okay, fine. That's how terrible Red Bull were. I mean, how terrible the luck was. Okay, since Maz likes Max.
I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, okay, fine, the British bias is there, but Russell is a good driver, and like you do kind of have to feel for him because he had one race, he had one like great opportunity to prove himself, and he did. Like removed, like there wasn't much doubt around his ability before that race. but like whatever shred of doubt anyone would have had was probably destroyed after his performance in that race. He just got really, really unlucky with, a team fucking up a pit stop. Basically, that's all that happened. He had the race in the bag. He went wheel to wheel with Bottas and blew him out of, like, he sent him back to like Finland, in my opinion. But it's ridiculous like how good he was in there. And like the point you said about Bottas keeping his seat warm, I don't think that's true. I think it's more Hamilton keeping his seat warm. Like he's gonna be number one driver at Mercedes if like the minute Hamilton decides to retire, Russell's gonna like snap that up, and that's it's gonna be another era of domination where we're gonna, if Mercedes keeps it up in the with the rule changes next year, um, it's just gonna be a repeat of the last, what, 8 years or so, where we're gonna hear the German and the British national anthems every time, pretty most in most races on the podium. So like yeah, Russell is like undoubtedly really, really good, and that performance just like proved it for everyone. And it's just like it was so like it was heartbreaking to see him not even get on the podium after that. So
No, that's completely fair. And I wanted to ask you all, you talked a little bit about Charles. It reminded me a little bit of Charles Leclerc, but I want to put it to one of
Bahrain,
you.
right? Even Leclerc at Bahrain was leading the entire race and then didn't win because of an engine failure. And like that's just like, come on, he could have won his second race in Ferrari, and that happens. And yeah,
Leclerc's
it's just
time is
annoying.
spent in having to fight Vettel off.
Yeah,
I mean, Carlos Sainz, at least fortunately, might be one of the more friendlier competitors. Judging by his relationship with Lando, hopefully it continues with Leclerc as well. But I wanted to ask you two again. So the two people who selected Charles Leclerc, there was a slight reaction to Verstappen. Before I get to that, I want to quickly tell our audience and our viewers who the other races are below 25 really quickly. And this is going by ascending order of age. You have Yuki Tsunoda with AlphaTauri, Lando Norris with McLaren, Mick Schumacher with Haas, Nikita Mazepin with Haas as well, Lance Stroll with Aston Martin, George Russell with Williams, Charles Leclerc with Ferrari, Max Verstappen with Red Bull, and finally Esteban Ocon with Renault. But with that, you two had a bit of a reaction when the word Verstappen popped out of Mazhar's mouth. So, what is it about Verstappen that you? I mean, I don't think anyone would refute he's a very talented driver. That's not even in question over here. But what makes you feel that reaction? What brought that reaction out of you to get up? What bothers you about Verstappen that you like about Charles Leclerc? Let me put it that way.
so for me, Verstappen, obviously, like you said, he's an extremely talented driver. Like I would have to be blind to even refute that, like in the slightest. But I think for me, the issue I have with Verstappen is the kind of arrogance that he has. Like for personally, like it's a very like personal thing where I admire humility. Like I admire some, like obviously drive and ambition are one thing, but like that has to go along with humility, because without it, it's very arrogant, and I don't like that. Like it's a personality thing. Like it's not about his driving ability. Like aggression is fine, but then there's a very fine line between aggression and disrespect. I feel like Verstappen is the type of driver that is disrespectful. He's not like, uh, he doesn't keep in mind other drivers, and like, he's like, no, it's like the world revolves around me, and he just gives off that kind of vibe. And that's my issue with Verstappen, and that's it. Like the other thing I would say, this is a funny one. This is also why I hate Liverpool so much. Like I hate Liverpool because I'm a United fan, but I also hate Liverpool because their fans are really, really obnoxious, and that's the exact like personality trait I find with Verstappen fans as well. It's just like really obnoxious fans. It's just like gives me more reason to dislike him. So yeah, and that's also exactly the quality I like about Leclerc. Like he doesn't give off like, oh, I am a Ferrari driver and I'm the greatest of all time and I'm the best, and like I was born to do this and shit like that. It's just like he is a good driver and he behaves like if he makes a mistake, he's not whining and complaining, oh, this guy fucked up or that guy fucked up or whatever. Like he admits to its fault. Like you like people have seen thousands of memes about him calling himself stupid, like, no, I did a shit job and whatnot. Like that's a quality I like. It shows like he's smart enough to acknowledge his own flaws, and that's the only way anyone can improve, right? Anyone, like even us, even athletes, whoever, like only when someone acknowledges their flaws is like that's the first step to actually improving. And that's what gives me hope, that's what gives me like the optimism that Leclerc can become world champion because he's going to constantly keep improving. Like even Lewis Hamilton, he never ever says that I'm a perfect driver and I have won everything there is to win. And like, even he's constantly like, oh no, like we go again, there's so much room for improvement and we can go faster, we can do this better, that better. And like that's the sign of greatness, right? Like that's not, arrogance is not like that. Nobody who's good in like any sport, any athlete ever in history has had that arrogance, like, oh, I'm the best, I don't need to improve, everyone else around me has to get on my level and shit like that. So that's the like not a very detailed summary of why I don't like Verstappen.
So now
To
just to
summarize this, what Fuzail is saying, he has the attitude of world champion Vettel, but his performances are, well, whatever they are. Okay, it's not world champion Vettel. You know the phase where everyone briefly hated Vettel and pointing the finger and all, all of that unnecessary bravado for no reason. I think, what
Yeah.
is wrong with you? Please acknowledge where you are and how many people watch you. I get that you might be having X personality outside of the F1 circuit, but okay, fine, maybe he is who he is and we can't change that. So my issue is not really his attitude, is just if it was backed by the best of performances we've ever witnessed, okay, fine, that's who you are, can't change it much, but it's not. So why are you shouting all the time? Why are you angry so much? What's wrong with you? There are people who get shunted just because they are like middle of the pack. Okay, you have to go wheel to wheel because they're in the middle of the pack. This dude starts what in the second row of the grid, and he's going to complain about everything. Okay, don't do it. You're much better off than a person who's starting like 11th or 12th and he's facing different issues, but they're not whining, saying that someone else butchered their race, right? This guy's race is going to get butchered by one small incident on one corner and he's going to crib, but that's the nature of the sport. What are you going to do about it?
So I'm just for the sake of debate, I personally, let me make it clear here again. I am not a Max Verstappen fan. I am purely judging him basis his stats, his experience, his records, and well, let's look at where he finished last season in the table. Looking at all those facts, I'm saying that he is the best young driver. And you're ignoring one very important thing. He started very young. He started much younger in Formula One as compared to all the other guys. So that arrogance is coming in because of that. I hate it. I don't, and all of you guys know by now that I don't like anyone with a slight attitude also. Whether it's cricket, whether it's football, especially when it comes to cricket, you guys know how much of, let's say, dislike I have for players with attitude problems. And I completely agree. And one thing that I love about Charles is uh, he's a team first guy. And I think he displayed that when his race got thrown away. I don't remember which race it was, but then Vettel managed to get his podium, and he was so happy for Vettel. And he said it on the team radio. He's like, "Oh, I know I shat the bed, guys, but I'm so happy for Seb. I'm just so happy he's had such a terrible year. So it's so good to see him on the podium." That is what you want from your best driver. That is what you want from your number one. And I'm so happy to see Leclerc being there now. But Red Bull are the second best team currently. You're ignoring that fact, and that's why I don't know if you can argue that Max is going to finish the highest amongst these young drivers. So can you then still say that he's not the best young driver? Maybe, but stats are on his side. So I think that's the case. According to me, we still have a lot to see from Mick Schumacher. I like that Krishnan you brought up George Russell and Fuzz. I think you mentioned that perfectly as well, because if you just see all the F2 drivers who are currently there, as in the F2 champions who are currently in the 2021 grid, we're talking about Pierre Gasly, we're talking about Leclerc, obviously, and George Russell, all of them F2 champions coming in, all being talked about highly. Gasly, not so much, but I still think he's a great driver. Um, and yeah, so I think Mick Schumacher can turn a lot of heads. He's in a very controversial team in Haas with his teammate. We all know what happened there, so let's not get into that. But um, I think Mick also has his head on his shoulders, so he's going to be my driver to watch out for coming into the 2021 season.
That's actually a perfect transition into what I wanted to discuss as my next conversation topic, which is the three new guys basically. So Mick Schumacher, Yuki Tsunoda, Nikita Mazepin, three new guys, both two for Haas, basically a Ferrari training program at this point. And Yuki Tsunoda coming in from Red Bull. He's been a Red Bull driver for a little bit now. I can't remember when he signed to the Red Bull program. Seems I think as of 2019. So he's kind of been scouted by Red Bull for a little bit, racing alongside Pierre Gasly at Alpha Tauri. Who are y'all most excited for? So they're all guys new to F1. Who are you looking forward for? Mazhar talked a little bit about Mick Schumacher, saying he could be interesting. Any other, what are your thoughts on Mick Schumacher, Yuki Tsunoda, or Nikita Mazepin? Anyone that catches your eye?
So, so I have two parts to this answer. One is Mick Schumacher and Yuki Tsunoda. Those are two I want to talk about. Mick Schumacher, because one, as a Ferrari fan, there's a ridiculous amount of optimism there that, like I want to see him do well. I don't know if I will, because Haas is not, that kind of team that where he can probably he can like showcase his talent well. It's gonna be like Russell at Williams. I don't know if he's gonna score points or not. If he does, I'll be very impressed. I mean, depends on like how Haas is gonna perform this year, but I'm not expecting much going into the season. But like that is someone I want to see do really really well.
Mhm.
Yuki Tsunoda, I think like I don't know much about him so far, but based on what I've seen in like the little bit I've seen in testing over one weekend, I think that's a very very promising driver, very talented driver, and I think we will see like good performances from him. Like I think he'll take the fight to Gasly. I think he'll take the fight to other midfield battles in that little group like Renault. I don't know if I shouldn't put Aston Martin there, but I'll refrain. Let's say McLaren and Renault and Haas and AlphaTauri. If these guys are battling, and hopefully Ferrari is not down there as well. But if these guys are battling, I think Yuki Tsunoda is probably gonna have a very good chance of showcasing what he brings to this grid. I think that's gonna be impressive, and like that's what I'm looking forward to seeing. Like I want to see how that unfolds. I'm very very curious. That's what's intriguing.
I love how Mazepin wasn't even mentioned in that
I
statement
mean,
at all. Just completely just shut the
no,
curtains on him
no.
right
To be
there. And
fair, see again, Mazepin. I don't know how he's gonna perform, but again, since he's in Haas, I don't expect like them. I don't expect like fireworks or anything, right? Like Latifi came in last year, but he could have been one of the best drivers on the grid, but like in the car that he's in, he didn't end up making much of an impact. Like if they're battling Giovinazzi and like like literally his other teammate, then it's not much to focus on, right? Like then there's more interesting things elsewhere on the grid, right? Like we've seen for so many years that the middle of the grid battle is the most interesting part. Like Mercedes and Red Bull are out in the distance where Hamilton is 30 seconds ahead of Max, and then who's 30 seconds ahead of Bottas. But then the rest of the field where the cars, like where the pack is closer together, that's the fun part, right? That's what we want to watch. So Alpha Tauri, like Gasly and Ferrari ended up there, and Racing Point and Renault and McLaren. Those are the battles that we really, really enjoyed. That's what I'm expecting to see, because Sonoda is like is being injected into that section. So that's what I'm excited to see. But again, with like Mazepin, Mick, I want to see them. I would like to see Haas do well, but I don't know what to expect.
Yuki has been just this is like you see someone being playing in like an under 12 and suddenly move them to an under 17 team because well they can. This is you just look at the guy and you're wondering like how what is this, why is that child competing? I mean he's 20, there are other 20-year-olds as well, but uh, just really excited to see another Japanese on the track. I think the first since Kobayashi, was he the last Japanese
yeah, I think
one?
so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably, yeah.
I don't remember
And I was a
anyone.
big fan of
Yeah,
the way Kobayashi raced, right? Like it was a thrill to watch him because he was kind of fearless. pushing the limit always, and wasn't always really appreciated. The fact that he was kind of bumping wheels occasionally. But yeah, I'm just I'm excited because F1 has got F1's average age has gotten like drastically younger. All right. Of course, Fernando Alonso is pushing it on the other end. Also, a young driver in some. Um, I hope you guys know that, right? He raced in that young driver test thing, and I was like, "What? He's 39."
He registered his son by mistake. He registered his son by mistake.
Just,
That's why.
just say you're making an exception for someone who's won the world championship. Say it. No one's going to do much about it, right? Practice chahiye. You need to practice. You can't just get into a race.
That's a perfect point. Yeah, as you would expect, Fernando Alonso is not part of this discussion, as which is not surprising to anyone listening. But I just want to quickly talk about two people that we haven't really covered. Gui, you talked about him briefly when you talked about UK. Lando Norris and Lance Stroll, and I like talking about them together because they're kind of on the opposite spectrum of how viewers view them. Everybody loves Lando Norris. I think somewhat unfairly, people hate Lance Stroll. What do they need to do to kind of take their next step up? I think Lando Norris had a great start to the season last year. Towards the end, it kind of tapered off. Lance Stroll, probably like his entire career, has showed sparks of like, see, we told you he's actually a good driver, but hasn't really been able to put it together consistently. Mazhar, I'll start off with you here. What do they need to do beyond radio? Lando Norris has the radio highlights that is already in the bag, but beyond that, what do those two need to do to impress you this season?
I think for Lance Stroll, he needs to become Lance Norris. That's only going to work in his favor, to be honest.
That's what it is.
But no, but genuinely, I do like Lando Norris. I know there is that, again, the slight British biasness there, which Gui said was not that much, and I've quite clearly seen it. It's just that Russell is definitely the better driver, so he gets more attention. Um, I'm interested to see if Lando can do better in terms of uh, where he'll finish. He's going to be caught up in that middle of the pack again. So I'm not really sure how much more can he do. I honestly, I've not really been tracking Stroll much. Can you blame me though? Is another question as well. So yeah, that's my
And
take.
Lando will be with Ricardo this year, which is a tough person to have as a teammate. I mean, Sainz was also a tough challenge, but I would argue Ricardo is an even tougher challenge to face.
Yeah, it's going to be a good team. McLaren can score a lot of points, I believe, and they can definitely challenge Ferrari. Let's not get into that. 4 decades worst performance in the last 4 decades. They just shat the bed completely. Uh, Absolutely ridiculous performance. No podiums. I mean, sorry, not no podiums, no race wins.
Oh,
That's
right,
what I
right,
meant.
right,
No
right,
race
right,
wins in the
right.
year. No pole positions in the year. Like, come on. I don't know if that's ever happened, guys. That's why. So I think McLaren will be very interesting, especially Lando being there with Ricardo. You're right. I think that's going to probably take his level up a notch. So let's see how that goes.
For
Well,
Lando and Lance to be like more in the limelight for me, they just have to go to a team where their teammate is less likable than they are. Because right now, all the teammates they have is like, oh my god, such golden children of F1. Like F1 has crafted them. Like all you can think when you think of Sebastian Vettel is F1. Like Lance to, array, daddy's money, this, that. Right. Alright, when you think of Lando again, oh, by the way, Lando, like a lot of people are making a case for Lando being a paid seat and fine. Unnecessary controversy around someone who's rather, who's very like, okay, I cannot buy my seat in F1 considering the kind of people who are buying their seat in F1. Those guys have a lot more money than my dad. But yeah, they just need to have a, a, a less likable teammate. Right now all their teammates are just like perfect, right? At this moment, like everyone loves Danny Rick, everyone loves more or less everyone loves. Where everyone like Checo as well a lot. In fact, like towards the end of the season, people are probably crying more than they did for their family because this man didn't have a confirmed seat. What is wrong with you? It's okay. Like it happens. It's F1. It's 20 seats. It's a lot of money, but that's it. I think Lance gets a lot of unfair criticism for just being in F1. Like, okay, his dad is rich. What do you mean? His dad is like somehow magically they could afford to have their kid in karting and he made it to that spot. Almost everyone in F1 is rich, barring two or three names. I think
Even they are like
so.
definitely upper middle class
We are okay.
at worst. At worst.
Let's not
So
compare
let's not get there.
living standards. All right, let's not
Yeah.
do that. But yeah, like you have Ocon, you have Hamilton, who didn't really have like super rich dads, but fine, that's okay. Like Lance just gets unfair hate, and
Yeah.
he's not that bad. He's not that bad. He's above average for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree there because, like Lance, I guess, okay, he wasn't the best driver on the grid. He is, still isn't, but like, I feel like I've seen a good progression of his driving ability improving over the last 2, 3 years. Like since he was in Williams to Racing Point now, I feel like he always was a good racer, but not. I think his qualifying pace was kind of an issue, but like in the last season, he's done well. He even got a pole at the Turkish Grand Prix, I think, if I remember correctly. So yeah, I think like he's slowly silencing his critics in terms of his driving ability. I think the main reason he gets hate is because he basically pushed Ocon out of a seat, and you could argue that Ocon is a better driver than him. But Lance kept his seat because his dad started sponsoring Racing Point, and yeah, basically that's I think the core of the reason why Lance gets hate. And I don't think like it's fair to say that he's a worse driver than anyone else in that range of the field. So yeah, I think that's the main reason that Lance is getting hate. Like I don't think his driving ability is that poor anymore. Like he's proving himself like to be a worthy performer.
Anymore was the key word there. Anymore was the key word there.
I want to quickly talk about positioning of those guys. So I don't think there's any chance for Lando Norris to beat Danny Rick, their teammate next season. Any of you, Vettel's been a little bit shaky. What are your predictions for Lance Stroll versus Vettel next season? Does he beat his teammate?
Okay,
Okay,
I
okay.
just said that Stroll is good and all, but Vettel is still a four-time champion, and yes, he's made a bunch of mistakes. He's probably thrown away a title twice in the last 4 seasons, but
Uh-huh.
I think Vettel is still a very good driver, and like the level of experience he'll bring to the team, like in terms of how much he'll be able to develop the car as well. I don't think Lance can, match that at all. Yeah, I think overall Vettel's gonna beat Lance, but that's my prediction. Like that's all I'm gonna say.
100%, dude. Vettel. If Stroll wins, I'm gonna have to. I'll do some day or some punishment for sure on the podcast.
You have
100%.
to get the Vettel
100%.
haircut. You have to
You
go.
can put it down.
Perfect.
What's the Vettel? Oh, no. Oh, okay. I think you
I'll
can.
take it
That's
with
fine.
you, Mas. Chalo, I'll take it with you. I'll take it with you and I'll bet on Stroll. Just for the fun of it. Just for the
Yeah, okay. So you're gonna have more trouble with the haircut than me. So
That is true.
but yeah, let's go for it. Okay, so guys, just a few questions that I had to pose to all three of you. And these are again very opinionated based. So feel free. And I just want a short answer. Like, give me no need to reason it out because I think that'll unfold in the due course of the season itself. And then we'll either be made to seem like fools or geniuses. So just two questions that I have for you guys. Who will finish second in this year's championship? I want to hear this from the horse's mouth. That's why I asked it. I know it's gonna really, it's a bitter pill to swallow. So go for it. Faz, you first, then Gui. Just one name. Just give it to me.
Verstappen.
I'm gonna act surprised.
Sake
Gui
of
Krishna.
variety, for the sake of variety, I'm gonna say Hamilton's finishing second and someone else. This is like calling Fernando Alonso young. So So it's just that I
That's
don't
why I
want.
said who's finishing second. That's why I didn't ask who's going to win, because it's like Bayern Munich and the Bundesliga. So
I don't trust the Honda engine enough. I'm gonna go with I'll go with Bottas. I think he'll hold on to his number 2 spot. Yeah.
I'm actually I'm on Team Krishnan for this one as well. I think we're severely underrating both us in general. We know he's the perfect number 2 guy, but I just think the Mercedes is too strong as well. My last question: who will finish third in the constructors? I'm not, because I think first and second are pretty much settled. It's going to be Mercedes and Red Bull, unless you guys have another take on that. But who do you think will finish third? Gui, you first.
I don't think Lando and Danny Rick have it in them to put McLaren on third. Do Sainz and Leclerc have it to put Ferrari third? That's the
Do
interesting one.
Ferrari have it to put
They
Ferrari
have
first?
it. Do Ferrari have it? Exactly. Exactly.
Uh, let's hope. Let's hope. I know I've been like incredibly biased throughout. I'm just gonna say it again. Ferrari is finishing third.
I
Yes.
think my answer is McLaren. I expect big things from Ricardo going there. And I think with the new Mercedes engine, they're going to be a little more reliable. They're going to be a little stronger than last season. I think McLaren have it in them to finish third. If Ferrari haven't gotten their shit together by now.
I promise I'm not saying this just to pick a different answer. I actually think, I thought the Renault car was pretty good at the end of last year. And we saw Fernando in his last season. I think he pushed that McLaren way beyond where it was finishing. He wasn't getting points, but he was finishing 11th, 12th, 11th, 12th. I think they can get it. I mean, I think they were finishing third, fourth, fifth with Danny Rick. I think Fernando Alonso is going to push that car in further. Hopefully, Esteban Ocon gets used to it. Short answer, Renault 3 for me.
Ballsy move, Krishnan.
Yeah.
This is not one of those Pollard incidents, so I'll run with it. It's not
And it's
that
also,
not
honestly,
that blasphemic.
Fair, fair.
we have to apply. I feel like it's worth acknowledging that Aston Martin are also in that conversation. So we could only pick 3 out of the 4 options, and we've not picked that. Like, it would have been unfair to like not pick any of them, I think. So, but yeah, Aston Martin has to be part of that conversation, and there's a big chance that all 3 of us are wrong as well. So
If that
It's a weird
tracing
thing.
paper is still handy, never know.
It's one of Aston Martin. I feel is the one case where I trust the team but not the drivers to be consistent. It's one of the few teams I feel that way about. I think Aston Martin. But-
That's fair. I wouldn't trust Lance either.
So with that, guys, like we said at the before our call, we have a little bit of a surprise for you. So, guys, this is actually a surprise even for our own host Gui, but also for Fuzail. Mazhar and I have planned a quiz because they are our 2 F1 experts. Now listen, there's good news. You have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. Because the winner will get a Kimi, you will not have the drink mug. And Gui and Gui, since it's a gladiator versus gladiator show off. We picked you, Gui, to be our gladiator, our representative for All About Sports, the podcast, and Zenith. Well, you have to be the representative, Fuz. So Gui, since you're representing us, you'll get a +1 for our future quiz scores. For those of you who don't know, we do a quiz when it's the 4 of us. We keep stack of the scores, and at the end, whoever's the lowest number of points has to do some sort of punishment.
okay,
But Gui, you'll get a +1, so nothing to lose. Okay. So
Other than my pride.
yeah, I'm about to embarrass myself.
pride. No, that is at stake. I have to admit.
I
that
mean,
is-
yours is this that like I'll embarrass myself, and that's okay. Like, I'm okay with, like, I can live with that. But like, your podcast is just gonna lose credibility because your F1 expert is no expert in by any means. So, you know.
No. We have a full faith in you. We have full faith, and we have full editing power also. So anything that needs to be taken out, we can take out.
Fair enough.
So with that, we can get it going. Mazhar, I don't know how you want to do it. Maybe we can alternate or something like that. So I'll start off with the first one since I mentioned the award. The prize is, as I said, that Kimi, you will not have the drink mug. Talking about Kimi Raikkonen's famous race where he had a huge issue with his drinking straw. Which race was that in? Which race did that take place in, and in which year?
Can I exit this call without seeming rude?
Okay, let's do this.
I'll admit,
if you get-
I did not know. Yeah.
If you guys if you guys don't get, so
I'll
we can
accept
do,
half the answer. I'll accept half the answer. If you get either the race or the year right, we'll give it to you.
yeah. But if both of you get the year right, then we're not going to give it to any of you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's a prisoner's
Okay, so-
dilemma. We'll keep alternating. So, Foos, if you want to
Okay,
go
okay,
first for
okay,
this
okay.
one, we'll switch it to Gui
Okay,
being
okay,
first for
okay,
the
okay,
next
fair
one.
enough,
Yeah,
fair
yeah.
enough, fair enough. Okay, so I genuinely don't remember. It's his older. Okay, I'm gonna take a very wild guess. I think this was during his Ferrari days, not Alfa Romeo. So I'm gonna say 2018. And for the race, I'm also not sure. I'm gonna say Hungary.
Okay, and Gui, what do you have?
2017 in Baku.
Foos, unbelievable. Absolutely
Really?
right. Hungary,
Really?
Hungary
Yeah.
Hungary
2018.
2018.
Hungary in 2018.
Damn.
I'm
That's
shocked.
First, see,
Not
this
bad.
is why you
That's
are our
wild.
expert. We have faith in our experts.
Bro.
That's wild. I did not expect to get that right.
Brilliant, fast, brilliant. I think this was, you didn't pull a rabbit out of the hat. You pulled a full fucking horse, man. Wow,
So wild, yes.
wow, great one, great one. Okay, I'll go with the next one. What is Lawrence Stroll's net worth? And now closest to wins, and you can say it in billions.
and US dollars. So Gui and then Gui
Yeah,
and
and
Gui, you
US
go
dollars.
first this time.
In billion US dollars, you're saying, right?
Yes.
Correct.
21.3.
Okay.
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 Wow.
That's
Okay.
too much, I know.
I'm gonna do the very big head thing and be 21.2.
Guys,
It's probably
both of
like
you don't get points for this.
probably like
What?
Okay,
2 point something, 4 point something.
it's 3.2 billion.
But why don't
You
we?
went
I'm closer. I win.
billion.
No, you're closer by like 0.1. So
Yeah,
no,
but
you don't.
that's closer. Like if someone wins the
That's-
race by 0.1 of a second, that's still a race win. He still gets
No, no.
25 points. So-
We've just heard from the umpires, the F1 umpires, and they said it's completely not allowed. You totally tanked your teammate there. It's you get negative. Sorry, very sorry.
Fuzail, just for being a dick, you don't get that.
I'm just trying to win. You have to do everything.
This is
to win.
hypocrisy. After shitting on Verstappen being a dick,
It's
just
just
pulling off a Verstappen move doesn't count for points.
look, everyone, all of those drivers have to do everything they can to win. This is just my way. I'm just ensuring my victory. Like,
Exactly like Verstappen. Exactly like Verstappen. But okay, I don't know. That's up to the race marshal Krishnan to take this call.
I'm saying that's a 0-0. Race Marshall declares 0-0. I apologize. That's a 0-0 for me. Okay, with that, here's another one. We're talking about the young drivers, right? In this, so who are the 3 youngest F1 race winners?
am I
3
going
youngest
first?
race winners. Yes, that would you be.
So
Bonus
I
for
think-
getting them. Bonus for getting it. Let's say age
In
wise.
order of age, like the age at which
youngest
they
to
won.
oldest. or-
Youngest to
Okay,
oldest.
I think Verstappen is the youngest, if I remember correctly. Race winner, that's a tough one. I'm gonna say Leclerc is one, and I'm gonna say Vettel is one. I'm not sure about the order. I'm obviously not sure about all the. I'm pretty sure Verstappen is the youngest race winner. He won in Spain in 2016, I think.
So you're saying Verstappen won? Who are you saying 2?
Leclerc, Vettel.
Okay. Who do you have, Gui?
Verstappen won. If that's not true, then what's the hype about? That's one pretty. I hope it's straightforward at least. Damn.
Dun, 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 dun.
Fuzail has some seriously good picks. Hey, okay, I'm not gonna ignore him on the camera. He's playing mind games now.
Come on, Gui, you don't have more time. You don't have more time.
Was Vettel really that young in his Toro Rosso season?
I know the answer, so I can't.
तू किससे पूछ रहा है?
Myself. I'm asking myself. And I don't, if I'm not wrong, he didn't get. a
Gui, you have
win,
3 seconds.
like Vettel and then Leclerc.
So you're saying Max, Vettel, Leclerc. So basically, you'll switch the order for 2 and 3 essentially.
Yeah.
Perfect. Gui, my man, you got it right. Good thinking, bro. Good thinking. So you get the bonus point. So you get the bonus point. So both of you get one. and Gui gets the bonus point for that one.
But shout out to Fuzz. He said 2016 Spanish Grand Prix, Verstappen
It
won.
was, yeah.
It
It was
was
his
the
first
2016.
race in Red Bull.
In Red
He
Bull.
got demoted, yeah. So it's a memorable race because I remember watching it live and I remember he won because both the Mercedes crashed out. So that's not like, you know.
Maz, I'm going to switch up the order a little bit because the last one's about your guy versus not their guy. So I'm going to switch up the order. I'll take the next one. You take the last one. So firstly, great job, guys. It's a hotly contested. It's 2-2 as of now, right? It's 2-2. Very, very hotly contested. Next question is Red Bull, right? Helmut Marko is their advisor, right? He's a strange advisor. He does a lot in terms of the Red Bull driver program, bringing young guys, which is ironic because he's extremely old. Question is, how old is he? Closest to wins on this one. Gui,
What
you
is
take
this
it. Closest to, and I don't want 75.5. Huh? अगर कोई बोलेगा कि he says 62 and you say 61.5, वो ऐसे नहीं चलेगा.
73.
Gui, you start.
Prime number
73. 73. Okay, 73. Okay. Fuzail?
I think that's a good shout. I'm gonna not be a complete dick and say 78.
Fuzail, fantastic answer. It's 77. So Fuzail, that's you.
Oh,
It's close.
nice.
But guys,
Yeah,
hey,
it's
listen, you guys are proving your worth, man. Y'all are both very close. All been close answers so far. So we intentionally gave it to y'all because we did not believe we could answer this. So very good job so far. Mazhar, I'll give you the last question because
Yes, this is my favorite one, and this is gonna make Fuzail and Gui so happy. This question, like they'll actually be running all over the place.
Don't be so sure.
Which nationalities are Max Verstappen's parents from? What are their nationalities? His dad and his mom.
Okay.
What are these questions?
It's a tough one. I'm confused between a couple of options, honestly. Okay, I'm gonna take a stab at it again. I think his dad is Dutch from the Netherlands. I think his mother is Belgian. Again, wild guess, and I'm not entirely sure.
Gui, what about you?
See, it's between those two countries only, right? That's a given. But now suddenly you think his father's name is Joss. अरे भाई किधर का नाम है दोस्त?
Hey, honestly, Jos is a very Dutch name, and in one of my old leagues as well, there was a guy named Jos from the Netherlands. So it's not that uncommon. At
Okay,
least for
okay.
that part
Wow,
of the world.
Fuzail's being a LeClerc now. Fuzail's being a LeClerc now. Redeeming himself, it seems. Or he could be playing mind games. I don't know. Your call. It's your call.
He has so much support at the Belgian also, but that's kind of throwing me off. But that has nothing to do with his parents' nationality, no. But I'm just going to I am going to be a proper dickhead. I'm going to say the same answer as Fuzail because if it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's right, it's right. But those are like the only two nationalities which come to mind. Like if I were ahead by like 2 points, I'd just say Pop is Spanish or some.
Yeah.
But
So
I'm not, so I won't.
if he's already given his answer, the other option I was confused about is Austria because for some reason he has a crazy Austrian following. So I would have guessed maybe he has some affiliation with that country, but I'm not sure. Netherlands and Belgium are still my guesses.
Isn't that just for Red Bull? No.
Probably that's
Maybe,
possible because,
maybe.
but I see like those orange shirt Verstappen fans, like there's a whole section of them.
All in the vicinity for them.
I guess.
Just
Yeah.
left.
So, guys, both of you are absolutely spot on.
Oh damn.
His dad is Dutch and mom is Belgian.
So I should get an extra point for answering first. But like I answered it. If Gui went first, probably wouldn't have gotten it.
Then the thing is,
It's your fault to go on this tangent and explaining to him that, oh, my friend was Dutch. His name was
like
also
yours
Joss.
is a Dutch name. That's what I'm saying. Like I've heard it. So
yeah, but you're giving him the help. So
Okay, fair enough.
that's an assist from you.
I think he would have switched. He would have switched if not for you. I think he would have switched parental guidelines potentially if not for you.
Anyway, Krishnan, go for it now.
So I have one. So we have a lot of, obviously over here we have a lot of Ferrari fans, right, on this call. So Ferrari won a lot. They hold the record for most championships. What is that number? What is the total number of championships that they have won for constructors championships? Ferrari.
I know
And
this. I know this one.
So many F1 promos in the last year about this, but I mean, it's the biggest brag, right? Like if the
It,
constructors championship would have been
Uh,
counted from the very first.
Go for it, Gui. Just say it.
We're going closest to, right?
closer to. Right? Yeah.
Come on,
34.
what closest to in this, yeah?
Bro,
34.
otherwise we'll have so many questions to go.
Yeah, we'll never finish because
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So let's go
Closest to,
for
brother.
34.
34. Acha,
34.
okay.
34?
Who's?
Damn, that's very like I don't think it's that
Mr.
high. I want to say something
I
like
can change my answer.
To be fair, I don't feel bad for Mazhar's reaction because Foos also had the same reaction at the same time.
yeah. It's not
Yeah.
34. Like I think it's closer to like 15, maybe 14, 15, maybe 17. I don't
17.
know. I can't.
17.
I'm not sure.
It's
17.
16,
So give on, Siv.
man. Guys, it's
16.
Oh.
16, yeah. Come on. And you call yourselves Ferrari fans?
Okay, so that one has to be Foos though.
I can
That
call
has
myself
to be
whatever
Foos.
I want. I don't have to
That's
prove it.
fast, man.
That's-
That's fast.
that's fast.
I mean, it's
So-
just like the last 10 seasons are a blur. Like it's just
No.
Come on, guys. They've had 15 drivers who have won the championship. There was just, and 1 year they won the constructors when they didn't win the drivers championship, but I don't know which year that was. Sadly, sorry for.
So guys,
yeah.
with that one little secret
Nice.
that we kept from you this whole episode, in the spirit of sports betting, Mazhar and I bet on who would win this one, and the stakes for the quiz. I bet on Foos and Mazhar bet on Gui. So there was nothing for y'all to lose, but something for us to lose. So I would have got it if depending on who won, we'd get a +1 in the quiz. Depending on who lost, we'd get a -1.
nice.
Sadly for Mazhar, she knew the answer to the tiebreaker, which is the irony of the entire situation. But it's such a great episode. Foos, always awesome to have you on, man. We're going to keep having you on
Appreciate
through this season. And with that, we're wrapping up a really entertaining quiz. This one very tight between our two gladiators. Fantastic battle. I think you'll prove absolutely how knowledgeable you all are. I can be honest, I wouldn't have known any of these answers to any of these questions, very honestly, which is why I wanted to be the one asking it. Thanks so much. Do like, share, and subscribe. Leave us your thoughts on Formula One, on sports in general. But with that, signing off and enjoy the Formula One season that's starting this weekend. Take care. Stay safe. Bye.